Between my finger and my thumb, the squat pen rests, snug as a gun. So Digging is a poem by the author Seamus Heaney. Seamus Justin Heaney was the eldest child of a North Ireland farmer. By God, the old man could handle a spade just like his old man. The speaker then reflects on the work ethic and skill of his father and grandfather. Hello students, I am Anil, Assistant Professor of English, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. In this session, we are going to look at a poem prescribed for the students of BBA first semester. The title of the poem is Digging. So Digging is a poem by the author Seamus Heaney. Seamus Justin Heaney was the eldest child of a North Ireland farmer. You have to remember where he is from because this poem is based on the place where he lived. Belonging to a Catholic family, he was raised in the Irish national tradition. He was educated at St. Columb's College, Derry and Queen's University, Belfast. His early poetry is rooted in the farmland of his youth and communicates a strong physical sense of environment with subtlety and economy of words as, for instance, in 11 poems written in 1965, Death of a Naturalist in 1966, and Door into the Dark in 1969. His later work, densely written and often poignant as in Winter Out, North, The Field Work, broods over the cultural and historical implications of words and explores their use in the wider social and political contexts. He was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1995. Now, looking at the title, Digging, what comes to our mind? Digging is just a physical act of digging the land. So here, the poem is titled Digging, and let us see how he communicates his thoughts about this word digging. Between my finger and my thumb, the squat pen rests, snug as a gun. The first two lines itself, they say, between my finger and my thumb, between my finger and my thumb sits the squat pen. This short, fat pen, it is there in my hand and it is firm as a gun. Under my window, a clean rasping sound when the spade sinks into gravelly ground. My father digging, I look down. Now he is sitting on the first floor. Imagine that the poet is sitting on the first floor. There is a window beside him. And when he sat to write something, then he listens to a sound. That sound is clean rasping. That means somebody is working on the land. Somebody is digging the land, removing the soil. Clean rasping sound when the spade sinks into the gravelly ground. When you put the spade into the gravelly ground, there is a nice sound. That is the rasping sound. And he sees, he looks down, and there he finds his father was digging the ground. Till his training rump among the flower beds bends low, comes up 20 years away, stooping in rhythm through potato drills where he was digging. Now looking at this, what happens? The poet's memory goes back 20 years. So till his training rump, now he is bending, he is working on the ground, among the flower beds bends low. Among the flower beds bends low, comes up 20 years away. Now looking at that, he imagines his mind moves back 20 years ago. In rhythm through potato drills where he was digging, where he is now digging, now 20 years ago, the same old father, he was cropping potatoes. So that emotion which he had with the time, it recalls. The coarse boot nestled on the lug, the shaft against the inside knee was levered firmly. So this is an act of digging land with the spade. So now he imagines the coarse boot nestled on the lug, the shaft against his inside knee was levered firmly. He rooted out tall tops, buried the bright edge deep to scatter new potatoes, and we picked. So he took out the potatoes. He put the spade into the land, opened it up, and there were these potatoes. To scatter new potatoes that we picked, loving their cool hardness in our hands. So this poem was written in Ireland. Even the climate was very cold, the ground was cold. Therefore, when they picked up the potatoes, they were not warm, they were cold. By God, the old man could handle a spade just like his old man. Now again, the memory moves back again into the previous generation. So here he says, by God, the old man could handle a spade just like his old man. Author's father, and father's old man, that is his grandfather. My grandfather cut more turf in a day than any other man in Toner's Bog. Toner's Bog was a place where people used to take out peat. Peat was a fuel. Peat was a kind of fuel used for cooking and domestic purposes in Ireland. That is, it was like a wet mud, but it burns. So here, the author tells, my grandfather cut more turf in a day than any other man on Toner's Bog. Once I carried him milk in a bottle. Now, as a small child, this boy, the poet, he had carried milk in a bottle for his grandfather, corked sloppily with paper. So now he talks about the old days where people did not give much importance to the hygiene. Anyhow, the bottle was corked with the paper. He straightened up, he was working on the bog, he straightened up to drink it, then fell to right away, nicking and slicing neatly, heaving swords over his shoulder, going down and down for the good turf, digging. So now the poet is explaining the work of his grandfather. So this poet, as a boy, he carried milk to his grandfather. His grandfather was working, he took a break, took the bottle, drank the milk, then again he got into the work. Over his shoulder, going down and down for the good turf, digging. The cold smell of potato mold. Now he recalls again his father's work, potato mold. The squelch and slap of soggy peat, that peat fuel that his grandfather did cut out. The curt cuts of an edge. Through living roots awaken in my head. Now all these things came back into my mind. Those images awakened in my mind. But I have no spade to follow men like them. But here the poet says, my grandfather was digging with a spade. My father was digging with a spade. But now, the third generation, I don't have a spade like they had. What do I have? I have between my finger and my thumb, the squat pen rests. I'll dig with it. So with this pen, I dig up my memory. I dig up the emotions. I dig up the past. I dig up the well-connected human relationships. So therefore, the poet says, my grandfather was a very good, hardworking man. My father was also a hardworking man. And now I dig with my pen. So here you have to understand the change of the profession. They were agrarian in their previous generations. But now the poet has come up with education. He knows how to read and write. And now he digs up everything with his pen, which is like a gun. So there he ends his poem. The title, therefore, is Digging. What kind of a digging? His grandfather was digging for fuel. His father was digging for food. Now with his intellectual effort, he is digging the past. He is digging his memories. So that is what the poet does. Now what is the summary of this poem, Digging? Digging is one of the most widely known poems by the Irish poet. This poet is an Irishman, Seamus Heaney, and serves as the opening poem of Heaney's debut, that is 1966 poetry collection, Death of a Naturalist. It begins with the speaker hovering over the blank page with a pen, preparing to write. In the beginning, he sat to write something, then he listens to the sound of his father working, and then his memories go back and back and back. The speaker then reflects on the work ethic and skill of his father and grandfather, both of whom worked the land as farmers, agrarian lifestyle. Though the speaker is breaking with that specific familial tradition, he represents writing as its own kind of labor, with the speaker owing to dig with the pen. That means he writes. He digs up the memory with his pen. This poem gives voice to Heaney's desire to explore or dwell into the past while serving also to embark. That means now he is also sticking to his past. Digging shifts seamlessly to childhood and through memory and allusion to the more distant past, evoking the continuity of life in a small farming community. And within that community, the importance of the family and its sense of history and time defined by certain permanence over the long years. That is the theme and summary of the poem Digging. With this, we have to understand Seamus Heaney is digging with his pen. His father was digging with the spade and his grandfather was also digging with the spade. But now what has happened? He has changed his profession from agrarian to writing. But the nature of the work is same. They were digging with the spade for fuel and food, and this man, the poet, is also digging with a pen for his survival, and he connects himself with the past of the family. So therefore, the title of the poem is Digging. With this, we shall meet in the next class. Thank you.